guys, Myudevanu Kujuria. I am going to present my model that is based on our domestic circuits. So it contains both series and parallel circuits. So objects in series and objects in parallel. We have used distribution box, meter, fuse, bulbs, fans, geyser, AC, etc. Here we start from power station. There are several poles that connect the wire from power station to our home. Then here we come to home, and these power lines go to further houses. And here we use power connections. The upper wire, remember the upper wire is always live and the lower wire is always neutral. So here we come to our house, the connections we have taken. Then there is fuse or MCB. We use fuse because if current is not stable, sometimes current is too much high and sometimes it's low. So it's if current is very high, it can damage your appliances. So use fuse so that if current is more, the current gets switched off. Then we have taken wires before meter. We have taken wires before meter so that meters does not count. Wire must not meter count it because it is used for appliances which use heavy voltage. Heavy voltage means that they are like geysers and ACs. Look, we have used, but always remember connect them in parallel always. Like a geyser is parallel so that it can be switched off easily, and AC is also connected in parallel. So here current go into meter, which counts the units consumed by. Then distribution box, it gives out current for several rooms, or we have seen that some of our houses have more than one room, so distribution box is always necessary to make current stable. Then then here we come to the room. In the room we have used simple devices like bulbs, fans and plug. We have used only 3 appliances here. We can use further by connecting them in parallel. Now here you can see that the bulb is connected in parallel, the fan is connected in parallel, and the plug is always connected in parallel. This is because each of these have a switch. It is because it can be switched on and off easily. Now here is our model. Then the questions come, why we have used certain objects in series while others in parallel. The reason is because we have used objects like distribution box, meter and fuse in series. Why? Because if fuse is used in parallel, then we can see that like if we switch off one object, then other objects are not switched off. If we use the fuse in parallel, then the fuse will break off when the current is more, and all other appliances will be ruined. Then why is meter connected? Meter is always connected in series because it would mirror the current coming in the wires. But if it is used in the parallel, then it would not count any current, because in that wire no current would be flowing, because no other appliances is using current in that. So it is always connected in series. Then the distribution box is always connected in series because if we connect it in parallel, then current would not be suitable for every room. In one room the bulbs may be very bright, and in other room the bulbs may not be too much bright, or they would be very dim. So here the questions come, then we must connect all objects in series. Why we have connected them in parallel? The objects which have high resistance are always connected in parallel. The reason is just that we see that in series circuits, we see that the total resistance is the sum of all individual resistance of the appliances. This means that the total resistance would be higher than the resistance of the greatest resistor. So the resistance is high and the voltage drop too much, and sometimes the bulbs are too dim to read even. Then second, they are used because in the parallel we see that the total resistance, the inverse of the total resistance is equal to the inverse of individual resistance. This says that the total resistance would always be less than the least resistance. This is because they are in inverse. So this is all about voltage. Then fault location is very difficult. We see that in marriages we use fairy lights which are always connected in series, so in those we see that the electrician take too much time to locate the fault. It's only because they are connected in series. If they would be in parallel, the fuse light would be visible very easily. If in series all the objects are consuming current, if they are connected in series, one appliance would consume some current, then the remaining current would pass on to other, it will also use, then the remaining would be passed on to the third appliance. So if we can perform an experiment that connect 3 bulbs in series and switch on them, then we can see that the first bulb is very bright, second is dimmer, and third is very dim. So if in a hall or any auditorium, if we have connected them in series, then the front benchers would be in more light and the back benchers would be in darkness. So this was all about my model that was on our domestic circuits. It's quite useful because if we have any fault at home, we can easily locate that. So thanks.